All right, everybody, good morning and welcome to the First Fridays Wellness Cafe with Lauren and Maria. Today, we're so pleased that we get a special guest host with Sherry here. Sherry is going to share an excellent presentation on Marma points, and we're just thrilled for her to bring her expertise to cafe and broaden the experience for everybody who is here. So we have 30 minutes. I don't want to take up any more time than I need to. I'd love to hand it over to Sherry, who is sharing her screen. And yeah, just thank you all so much for coming.
Yay. So welcome everybody. So I'm not sure when I share a screen, if you can see me and the screen. I think usually it puts my picture in a little box over on the corner. But anyway, being able to see the screen at this point is what's super important. In a little bit, when we actually get to the Marma points, if you can't see me, let me know, because I will change it at that point so you can see me. But I just want to start with a little bit of an introduction of what is a Marma. And so you can see Marmi, I'm saying that right, is plural. So when we're talking about more than one Marma point. So Marma points are vital energy points located on the surface of the body. In Ayurveda, or the ancient Veda text, they're referred to as bindas. In Chinese kind of medicine, they're the acupuncture points. So if you've ever had acupuncture where they do like the needles, they are putting those into the Marma points. But what they are is doorways or pathways to the body's internal pharmacy. So when we can open them and allow that energy to flow through, we can heal parts of our body, and different Marma points can associate with different organs and parts of our body. They're also kind of the bridge between the mind and the soul, or the body, the mind, and the soul. So they're kind of that connection in our physical body into our mental body and our soul, our inner being. They are access points to all of our koshas. So again, that is a yoga term. We have 5 kosha layers. Our outer layer is our physical body, Anamanda kosha. We have our Manamana kosha, which is our kind of our mental. We have our Pranamana kosha, which is our cardiorespiratory system. And then we go in a little deeper into that, kind of getting into our inner being, or what we might call our soul, or our inner intuition. So again, body, mind, soul, right? They're located a lot of times at anatomical points where joints, veins, nerves, so tendons intersect. So it may not feel, a joint we can see. We might not necessarily be able to see the intersection of where a vein or a nerve comes in, but intersecting points is where those Marma points are. And they are high prana traffic through. So prana, that it's kind of even bigger than breath, but it's that internal energy. Oops, let me see. Is that going to switch my slide here? All right, give me just a second to play with. There we go. It switched. Okay, had to figure out which button to push to make it switch. So Marma points are key components of the nervous system. They are governed again by prana, that internal energy. And this is some technical kind of yoga work, but it's energy that's flowing through these. And energy is a healer. So that energy flowing through those Marma points heals the body. So that's basically kind of what this slide is saying. Let's see. So Marma points work with cellular communication. They are used for diagnosing imbalances and diseases. Again, I just want you to have a little bit of kind of this background technical stuff. They're used for therapeutic purposes. So just if you think acupuncture, right? If you've ever had the acupuncture, it helps balance our doshas. You did that a few weeks ago with Lindsay, whether you're Vata, Pitta, or Kapha dosha. It balances our dhatus, which is just another yoga term for balancing the energies. It clears the channels in our body, clears those energy channels so that the energy can flow and heal. And through that, it enhances and helps organ function. Working with Marmas also help with pain relief. They stimulate Agni, which is the fire, the digestive fire. So it can help with digestion. If you're having digestive issues, activating specific Marma points can help with that digestion. Many of the Marma points are used to help calm the emotions, working kind of to activate through the vagus nerve, to calm us and relax us. They can enhance our awareness, our intuition. We're going to work one today that really helps open our intuition. And they're very just rejuvenating along with yoga, in yoga therapy. So there are 107 Marma points in the physical body. We're going to touch on about 10 of those because we have 30 minutes today. They consider the mind the 108th Marma point. So some specifics on stimulating the Marma points. You are going to use our fingertips, sometimes the thumb. It's not about pressing hard. So you don't have to really press in. It's just some firm pressure, but not super hard pressure. So if you were doing, Marma work with a practitioner or even on your own, the goal is to kind of lightly in a clockwise position. So I'm just, right here, just so you can see, light pressure for about 5 minutes. We might not necessarily we won't do each Marma point because 10 Marma points we're going to work on today. We won't have, 5 minutes to do each point. But you could also use some oils, and with Ayurvedic practice, right, there's specific oils for specific doshas, and, also specific oils to treat different types of conditions. So if you were working, with an Ayurvedic practitioner, they would probably use some oils, different oils, depending on what was going on in your body. So here we go, the stuff that we came to. So if you can all chat in the box, can you see me and my slides at the same time? Yeah, looks like some people do see a gallery of faces. Yes, okay, perfect. Because I wanted to make sure that you could see me as you see the Marma points that we're going to talk about. So I've got 10 Marma points here. Remember, there are 107. So if this is something that's very interesting to you, I don't have all 107 memorized. I mean, if I continue to work with these, maybe at some point I will, because there are Ayurvedic practitioners that do immediately, you tell them the issue and they're like, okay, let's go to this Marma point. But if it is something you're interested in working more in, we can get together. I can share. I also, I will add this book to the slides. I don't have it in there right now, but before I send these slides to Maria, I'll add this book. So if anybody's interested, it's not cheap. It is about $50 because it is a textbook, but it breaks down in detail, shows you exact pictures of where the Marma points are, what they associate with, how to massage it and all of that stuff. So if you're just like me and you love this kind of stuff, you can always pick up this book, and I'll put that in there for anybody's reference. But let's talk Marmas. All right, so we're going to start with the center of the forehead. So this one is about where the third eye is. So a lot of times in Indian culture, right, they have the dot right there. That is the third eye. And so it's a small point. You could use just one finger. You can use two. And think clockwise. So clockwise if you were looking at yourself. So it's kind of counterclockwise from the inside, because you would think if somebody was doing it for you, they would be going clockwise. And it's just, you just kind of lightly massage that point, and you bring your awareness into the area. And then you can see on the chart, so as you're kind of massaging, I'll just talk to you about it. This spot is very activating and opening of the mind, the brain, the nerves. It helps cerebral circulation. So bringing circulation in through the brain is also a very good point for relieving stress, which you may be starting to feel already just as you are rubbing it. And it is a place to open intuition. So it would be a great place to start, like some mindfulness or some meditation. And as you bring your awareness in, the spot behind there is our pineal gland, which is also very activating of a lot of our hormones. So you could just massage into that point. Now, there are a lot of points on the head, the face. Of course, we're just going to talk about 10 of them that kind of correspond to a lot of things. And that's called the Staffani Marma. Again, I do not say these names correctly. The Staffani Marma, now some of them it'll specify. So this one you want to use with your pinky because it is a very small area. And it's where the nose, so where that kind of bone turns into the cartilage. So if you've ever done alternate nostril breathing with me, it is where we valve the nose. So as you come down the bony part, right at the base of the bony part, and that's where we could valve the nose. So gentle massaging right there can really open the sinuses, the ears, working with your sense of smell. Now we're not really, you can just kind of imagine, I go forward. It's not really clockwise in this position. Helps with stress. Also really good for snoring because snoring oftentimes has to do with not being open. If you've ever worn like those nose strips, this is kind of the area they come in because we're opening it. So if you have any kind of sinus issues, think about as you're massaging. So you kind of come up and it opens it, up and it opens it. Nice. And you would spend, again, maybe 5 minutes per area, depending on what you're working on. So you can already start to see when we do any type of like face massaging or rolling of our body, we're hitting and working these Marma points. So moving on, kind of considering staying on the head, the face a little bit longer, the center of the chin. So as you kind of come straight down from the center of the mouth, right into the front of the chin. Again, I would probably use just one finger here. It's pretty small. This again helps with the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, also nerves. Great place for pain relief and unresolved emotions. So if you have some trauma, something that you've been dealing with. Now, this works in conjunction, like we said, with yoga therapy, with different things going on. So we might not just massage the chin, right? We would be doing other things to go along with it. And we wouldn't typically use one Marma point at a time. We would work a series of Marma points because we're working to open those energy channels throughout the entire body. And so even kind of what we've done today, you could work that into a little pattern, right? So you could come to your forehead and into the spot on the nose and into the chin. Right? And then you could repeat. So working a little flowing pattern also brings kind of that groundedness into it, brings our mind into what we're doing. So not only reopening these energy channels, right, we're bringing our awareness into the moment, which is going to help relieve stress, relieve anxiety as we come in to the moment. Nice. So let's move on to our hands. So again, 107 Marma points in the body. We're doing 10 of them. So there are more in the face that you can work with that do different things. But we're going to touch on one that's in the hand. We'll also touch on it again in the feet. So this Marma point, you can come to it from the hand or either foot. It's kind of right in the center of the palm. I like to take my thumb, again, thinking clockwise, but if I'm looking at it, it's counterclockwise because I'm thinking away. This balances the heart, the mind, opens the lungs, and harmonizes the emotions. So this spot in the palm of our hand, and again on the palm of our foot, is oftentimes called the heart of the Marma points, Talaridama. I never say these correct. I need to really work on my Sanskrit. Feels really good. Can also oftentimes feel a little sensitive, but it's a great place. Just really any time in the day, anywhere you are, it's really easy to just reach down, and massage that point. Can really help relax you, help with your breath, your breathing. Feels good. You just go back and forth. So when we do a hand massage, right, we would be getting into this spot. And reflexology wise, right, it's kind of in the heart, because the brain, the eyes, the ears, the sinuses are more through the fingers. And then as we come into kind of the torso of the body, that's here in the center of our palm. Just massage that area for a moment because it feels kind of good. Everybody needs a little hand massage. And I'm just going to check the chat as you're massaging that just to see. Okay, yeah, the direction on the hands. So I know the clock, and it's totally fine. You know, it suggests going clockwise, but you're not going to like mess anything up if you go counterclockwise, right? It's just kind of whatever feels most natural to you. But here's the hand. You can see I'm red right there where it is. So kind of the center of the hand. So if I were looking at it, or here, if I'm going away, if I'm showing you my hand, and this is going to, it's hard too, because the camera flips, I think, what you're seeing. So if I held my hand away from me and I think about going clockwise on the way the clock would be reverse, then I would keep going that way. And as I turn towards me, right, I actually end up going the other direction, but it's not like doing that on the video. So truthfully, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you are still stimulating the points. But if someone else were doing it to me, their clockwise would be different than if I were doing it on myself. That's what I'm trying to say. Because if somebody's massaging my Marma points on me and they're going their clockwise direction, that's the opposite of the direction if I'm doing it on myself. Does that make sense? So if I'm doing it on myself, I tend to go counterclockwise, because if somebody were doing it on me, they would be going clockwise. Did that clear that up? That probably made it as clear as mud, right? Yeah. Nice. All right. I didn't mean to do that yet. I need to go back. There we go. I jumped ahead too soon. All right. So moving on to the midline of the head. So we have kind of two sides of our brain, and there are sutures kind of down the middle. We have that corpus callosum, right? That's the part that's called, that attaches the two sides of the brain. And then we kind of have on our skull, we have sutures. So like when babies are born, right, they have this soft spot because the skull is not completely fused. So if you think along that center of the brain, that's the vertex of the midline of the head. So we actually have several Marma points that lay along that. The Merdini Marma point is kind of right in the center. So front to the back of the head, center, front to side, center. But if you are massaging anywhere along here, you're not really going to miss something, because we've got a lot of Marma points that lay right along that center of the head. So again, I'm going to massage in that circular motion. Now this one is really good for headaches, right? And you've probably even done that before. Like if you have a headache, right? You're just, and oftentimes I'll take both hands and just cover the whole area, right? Because you got Marma points all along there. But the specific one mentioned is right in the center. It's also very calming for the mind, helps balance the emotions. And when I was learning this, the teacher, she goes, don't y'all massage? Isn't that what you do when you have the hiccups? So she's Indian, raised in India, brought up on all of this. She's an Ayurvedic practitioner. She's amazing. And she said that is a spot to stop the hiccups. So if you're having the hiccups, you come into that Marmani and you massage it. And so I've done it twice. 2 times I've gotten the hiccups since I learned that. Both times my hiccups did stop. Now, I don't know if that's scientific proof that it works every time after doing it just twice, but the next time you get the hiccups, give it a try and massage that point. And if nothing else, right, you're going to relieve tension, kind of really helps relieve the tension in your skull. And see if it helps your hiccups. Feels good anyway. And all of this feels really good if someone else is doing, it always feels better if someone else rubs for you. But so we can do it ourselves. And don't get caught up so much on the which way you go. It's just typically that it's going clockwise, but that would be if somebody were doing it to you. Now here on your head, whether you're doing it yourself or someone's doing it to you. Well, again, I guess it depends on kind of how you look at the clock. So I do see the confusion in that for sure. All right, so moving on. The center spot where our wrist meets the palm of our hand. So our wrist and the palm of our hand kind of right there in the center. You can almost see that little indentation. It's a Marma point. This is really good if you have arthritis of the hand, because that's where we have all our carpal tunnels are in there. So if you have carpal tunnel syndrome, really good for pain relief, body stiffness in general, and then emotional disturbances. Almost any of these Marma points is going to help with kind of that emotional balance in your body, because if we're stimulating, just like our body, if we're rolling one part of our body, we're releasing some of the tension in other bodies. If we're opening and working with any of the Marma points, right? If there's like clogged or energy not traveling through in one area, right? It's going to kind of stop up other areas. So on the highway, right? On the exit, if there's a stop on the exit, right? It kind of backs up traffic everywhere. So any of these Marma points is going to help with emotional disturbances, balancing out. Is it okay to use my knuckle here instead of my thumb? I think you can. I think the point is you just don't want to apply too much pressure. So you don't want to really, press in hard. It just takes light pressure. So sometimes if somebody's using their knuckle, they might press in a little bit more. So yeah, just think light pressure. In acupuncture, they're actually piercing the skin with needles. So Ayurvedic medicine is a lot more about touching and using even the energy fields around the body. Chinese medicine, same points, different names probably, and they use more of the puncture. In the West, we tend to think of things as kind of trigger points. So you can think of these as along those same lines. They're kind of trigger pointy that we're hitting. So nice right there. And you would do it on both. So when we have two hands, we have that Marma point on both sides. So even though there's 107 Marma points in the body, right, some of them are double. But I like this one, especially if you've got, wrist tightness. So really good if you're a knitter, piano player, spend a lot of time on a computer as well to release the stiffness in the area. And then Marma point in the center of our navel. So right where your belly button is. And that is very activating of all the digestion. Right? So small intestine stimulates digestion, also regulates, we've got a lot of internal organs in here. So kidneys, pancreas, adrenals, gallbladder, spleen, a little bit bigger area. So I would typically probably use 2 or 3 fingers. And so again, as you can see, and I know the video's like flipping it, if somebody were doing this to me, so if somebody's doing it to you, they're going clockwise. So you got to think clockwise that direction. It also, we're going the direction that kind of the intestines travel. So the ascending colon comes up your right side, and I know when I do this to you, it's like I'm mirrored. So the ascending colon comes up the right side, transverse colon comes across, and then descending colon comes down and out. So we want to travel the same way that colon travels. And so I talk about this sometimes in rolling and release and restore, right? We could use a big soft ball on that area. And so as we followed that ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, we're also massaging around this center knobby Marma point. And that's going to really help and activate with digestion and all those internal organs. And then below the knee, so the lower inner part at the bottom of the kneecap. So here's our kneecap, the lower inner part. So kind of right where the hardness of the kneecap ends. There's a little Marma point in there. And this one's really big for promoting circulation in the lower extremities. So if you have like maybe somebody that's diabetic, right, and has some low levels of circulation down in the ankles, down in the feet, massaging right on that inner knee point can help move that digestion around, or not the digestion, the circulation around in the lower part of the body. It also enhances the prana flow into the lower part of your body, your cerebral circulation, and any kind of respiratory stress where the oxygen and blood may not be pumping through to the lower body. And again, you have two of these. They're both right on the inside base of the knee point. Feels kind of good. They all feel kind of good. Nice. And you'd spend 5 minutes per area, but we only have a few minutes left and a couple of more to get through. And you're going to get these slides, so you'll see these. And again, I'll put the name of the book in there, or reach out to me if you're just interested in learning more about it. So the calf muscle, right at the center of each calf muscle. So this is a place where the calf, if you think of your calf muscles, right, there's like two muscles that come in and they kind of join at a ligament right about there. And that is the Marma point. Remember back in the beginning when it talked about Marma points coming together. So I could use my thumb. This is one place where I really do like to use something a little bit more intense. And I guess that comes from kind of the Western view of this being a trigger point. So we think about in, muscle anatomy where things get tight. So this is a place that often when you are doing release and restore, right, or we would take, my balls are all stuck together. We could take the balls and we can do it here in this kneeling position. Right, and take that pressure point into that Marma point, or a single ball underneath the calf and get into that Marma point. Right? So when we're rolling, when we're massaging, we are oftentimes hitting these various Marma points. And again, this one would have two, one on each side. It's good for, again, lower body extremities of that circulation, colon function. So if you've got some colon issues, irritable bowel syndrome, diverticulitis, Crohn's disease, this would be a point in Ayurvedic medicine that they would say, oh, we need to get in there. We need to massage it. And you might notice that it's pretty tight and tender. I'm always really tight and tender right here. Very, very common trigger point, as we would call it. And then finally, ending today with the foot. So anytime you're doing that barefoot massage, you were probably getting to this spot, and I talked about it this week when I subbed barefoot massage, just like the one we had on the hand. So you can see the name of the slide is the same. Let's see if I can get that slide to go back. There we go. So here it is on the hand, the center palm of the hand, and the center sole of each foot. So right here, kind of in the center, if you come down from the ball of the foot, kind of between the first and second toe, right at the ball of the foot. So if you kind of think, where would my heart of my foot be? And it's very similar to that same spot on the hand, activating the lungs, circulation, really helping to balance the body. And again, right, it's pretty tender right there. Marma points tend to be tender points, especially if they're a little bit clogged and not allowing that energy to flow through well. There will be more tenderness there. And this one would have 2 points again, one on each foot. And we have more Marma points on the foot as well. But these are just a few of kind of more of the common general that get attention, big name ones, if you will. And you could use, I mean, you could here on your foot use your knuckle because it is a little more thick. If you were using the ball, how we do the rolling of the ball, right? You're moving that energy through as well. So that's why I say use the clockwise kind of just in general. That's the way it was used way back in ancient Ayurveda. I'm sure it's still used in that direction, but massaging and moving the area is going, to bring goodness to it, whether you're going clockwise or not. We're opening those energy channels. All right, I'm going to unshare my screen here. Nice. And if we have any questions, I mean, we're technically out of time, but if anybody had any questions, I'm going to check the chat box. Can you use the index finger? I think these were all things. Yeah. The thumb feels weird. Use the index finger. And a lot of times the index finger is recommended every once in a while, like here on the nose, it recommends to use the pinky because our pinkies aren't as strong, right? And we want to be gentle when we're massaging the point on the nose, but our feet, especially the thumb or the middle finger, or even a knuckle on the foot, because our feet are a lot thicker. How often can you do this? Is there ever too much? I look at it the same way as kind of like rolling. There is always too much of anything. So the recommended is kind of per spot up to about 5 minutes, but then you could do it again the next day, right? So what we're trying to do is bring that energy flow through, getting the energy to flow, and then let our body do its thing, right? And then the next day we need to come back and do it again. So just like we would, lift weights a few times a week, maybe we do our rolling, and rolling is going to hit your Marma points, right? We do our rolling, we do our massaging. In Ayurveda, another big thing they do is abhyang. I never say the words correctly, but it's self-massage. It's oiling of the body. And so as you're oiling the body, you're massaging all of those Marma points. Y'all should hear me when I'm trying to practice Spanish too. My husband laughs at me. Like, I am not good at pronouncing other languages. I try, but not real good at it. So, 5 minutes per area. You probably wouldn't do all 107 points for 5 minutes every single day, right? Because then you're not doing anything else. These 10 points that we went over today, like I said, they are the big points kind of spread throughout the body to really kind of open the channels through the entire body. So if you hit, these 10 points a couple of times a week, fabulous. Yeah, awesome. Great. I think I answered that. Perfect. Anything else? Well, feel free to reach out, to tag me, and I will answer, if you're like, oh, what's such and such, or how could I get to such and such? And then I will get these slides to Maria. I'm going to add the book to it so you can see that book if you're interested in looking at it. And we'll send this over to Maria, and she'll send it out to everybody. So I'm going to let Maria say any closing remarks.
Awesome. Sherry, thank you so much. That was awesome. So thank you so much. And yeah, we'll get those slides out and get this blog up along with last month's too. And next month we might end up doing the second week of July because of the holiday. So we'll get that up on the schedule as soon as we can. And yeah, just thank you so much, everybody, for joining us and supporting the Wellness Cafe. It's always a pleasure to bring our passion to you in new ways. So thank you so much again, Sherry, for your time, and have an awesome weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.